Oh man. Oh man. We're out of time. Time is being warped. We have to go back and correct the timeline to set it to the way it was. Come with me before it's too late. Welcome back, friends. Here at Enchanted Lore, we're going to continue discussing the timeline of events in which created the different editions of D&D and Paizo. So previously, we talked about 3.5 and 4th edition of Dungeons & Dragons and what started as the beginning of Paizo's Pathfinder RPG. Now, let's fast forward a bit to the year of 2014, and that is when D&D 5th edition hit the markets. And it was surprising success. People liked it. So if we look back at the original versions, so like 3.5 and with Paizo's Pathfinder, one of the things that you'll see with those type of books and play styles is that there was a lot of rules and a lot of books. And the upside of that was that you could come up with creative and crazy builds because there was so much content for it. So if you wanted to make this super tanky character that, was also a spellcaster, there was ways to kind of weave your way to make it happen. If you wanted to build more of a glass cannon, you could. Whatever you envisioned, there was a set of feats, rules, or whatever to help you get to that point. Now, there was a downside of that, because the other thing was there was a lot of rules. And some of those rules were messy, such as the grappling rules, where you literally had to kind of have a flow chart to figure out, okay, am I still grappled? Am I not grappled? Do I control the grapple? So there were some downsides to that. So the big thing with 5th edition was that it simplified it all down. So you didn't have as much, customization as that, but it was a more simpler, easier sort of way to play the game. You see this also as kind of a different philosophy with like video games too, right? Some people prefer having expanding, branching choices and matrices, to pick your skills and stuff, and others prefer a simpler, just 3 choices. So once again, similar concept here. So fast forward to 2019, and that is when Paizo releases Pathfinder 2nd edition. So what they wanted to do at Paizo was they wanted to have a new system in which they could build from the ground up, and they would reach out to the community to get feedback and test things out, so that way they can have their own brand new system instead of forever supporting, this older 3.5 stuff. They wanted something of their own. And so they did. And that is where we have 2nd edition. Unfortunately, at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023 is when we have what is called the OGL scandal. OGL stands for the Open Game License. And this is a set of rules that you would find associated with these books and stuff, in which it's Wizards of the Coast saying, hey, here are these guidelines, here are the rules to where you can use our stuff and build upon it, and gives us credit for that. These are the things that we give you freedom with, and these are the things that are off limits that you are not to touch. And so with the OGL license is what basically allowed the creation of Pathfinder, the 1st edition, to come into existence, right? And it's also what allowed other content creators, whether here on YouTube or the internet and stuff, create things and content, or different sets of books and stuff to share with the community. It all kind of fell under that. Well, under this new set of rules that was released, Wizards of the Coast decided that they needed a little bit more of the pie, that they wanted to monetize things, especially if you were doing certain things or certain sizes. They wanted more money from these various content creators. Well, that caused a severe backlash, frustration, and anger from the community. And so eventually, Wizards of the Coast did back down and did move a certain set of rules to the Creative Commons, but it caused some severe distrust and distaste with certain members of the RP community. And as much as some people, even though they've enjoyed Dungeons & Dragons forever, they said never again, and they moved on to other game systems such as Pathfinder 2nd Edition or elsewhere. This is what also caused Paizo to use their legal team, and they created a new set of license to be used by the RP community, and it is the ORC, O-R-C license. And that way, it was created in a way that way it was lasting and wouldn't be under the control of just some corporation decide to change the rules and monetize things. Because of that scandal, that brings us to the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remastered. And it is the same set of rules as 2nd Edition. So picture it almost like how we talked about previously with 3rd Edition and 3.5. Well, the Remastered of 2nd Edition of Pathfinder is where they cleaned up some of the rules, added some verbiage, but more importantly, they changed the names and different things, whether it was of creatures, whether it was of spells, whatever, and moved away completely, cutting all ties to the original OGL license and moving towards the ORC license, thus completely separating themselves from Wizards of the Coast. Now we move on to the current year, 2024. And this is where D&D and Wizards of the Coast releases D&D 5th Edition, wait for it, 2024. So this was kind of under this project called One D&D, in which they were going to try to find ways to kind of change and monetize and have, D&D more web and, internet friendly and stuff like that. So that name fell to the wayside and they settled on D&D 5th Edition 2024. However, as you can look back at where we started this video, there's D&D 5th Edition 2014. So now we have two 5th editions in which you have to refer to the year. Basically, from what I've seen and read online, D&D 5th Edition 2024 is same thing as what we've seen before. It is like a 0.5 version. They really should have just named it D&D 5.5 or something of that effect to help eliminate the confusion. But they didn't, and so now this is how they identify the two versions. It's basically same thing. Build upon the 5e set of rules, clean up, change the verbiage, expand, tweak some things, but it's the same basic set of rules. So anyway, that is it. We hope that this kind of adds some clarity as to why we have some of these different systems, why we have these different versions, and how it came to be. So that's it for today, and thank you for watching.